On tonight's Consumer Alert, some so-called locksmiths who deserve nothing less than to be locked up.
The real story begins at Eastern Safe & Lock in Springfield, Virginia, where Gary Ford speaks for the Associated Locksmiths of America. Ford says the huge majority of locksmith ads in print and online yellow pages are placed by con artists.
There's probably 800 names on here. You have 12 or 13 that are legitimate.
It says Falls Church, Fairfax, Alexandria.
Might as well say New York, Chicago, New Jersey.
A trained professional can open the locked door to your house in a few moments. Can open the locked door to your car just like that. And all for a reasonable charge. But some so-called mobile locksmiths have a different idea.
Bait and switch. And that would mean that they would quote a very low price, and then when they got to the job, the prices would triple, quadruple.
The con starts with dozens of yellow page addresses that appear to be right in your neighborhood. They want you to assume they're local businesses close by. In Rockville, the ad said they were here, and here, and here, and here. But there were no locksmiths to be found. Perhaps they'll answer our call. So I left the key in the car and locked the door. Then I called the emergency locksmith number.
$39 to come out and $15 to open. Okay.
But when the locksmith arrived, his price had quadrupled.
$39 and $110, but the guy said $39 and $15.
And that's when our locksmith split.
Who you guys are and...
For On the Money, I'm Liz Crenshaw.
With us right now, security expert Bill Stanton. Bill, welcome.
Well, Carmen, where are your keys right now?
In the makeup room.
Okay, make sure they're there.
I got some folks looking at it. But, Bill, I want to address this point. Now, it looks like this kind of scam has really exploded in the past couple of years. What happened?
Well, as the economy goes down, sometimes people that are honest but on the fence makes them a little bit larcenous. What do I mean? This is systemic of everything. This is your plumber, this is your air conditioner repairman, your TV guy, you know, things that we don't necessarily know. Once they go under that hood and back of that TV set, that price gets jacked up.
Okay, now, so what should you say? Let's say you're in this predicament, you're locked out of your car, you're locked out of your home. What do you need to say on the phone if you need a locksmith?
Okay, let me take you through a scenario, Carmen. Right now, after work, it's about 9 or 10 o'clock. You go into the parking lot. You get there. You're locked out of your car. You don't know where your car is. You get the locksmith on the phone, and you ask them specifically, this is where I am. This is the scenario. What is this going to cost me, point blank?
Okay, and then you have to hold them, though, to that number.
Absolutely, but this is where it gets iffy. All right, let's make a round number. Let's say $75. So now it's July, it's $75. All right, and they give you $90. It may be worth that extra money just to get in and get home. But now let's say it's December and you're in a cold area and it's sleeting and snowing and it's dark and it's cold.
20 degrees outside.
Right, now that price goes up to $300.
Oh.
You know, now, do you want to necessarily negotiate with that guy? Believe me, the bad guy knows this. He knows you want to get home safe and sound, so he's going to manipulate you. He's looking at you like a mark.
Okay, now you say also you got to use a locksmith like you'd use any other repairman. You've got to watch and look out and keep your eyes open and listen to your gut, right?
That's right. You know, I'll make it akin to surfing. You need to watch that wave. Are you going to ride the wave or are you going to let the wave come and wipe you out? You look at the guy, you watch what he looks like, and it's called profiling. You see the car. Is his car brand new? Is the guy getting out in a uniform? Does he have his badge on his chest? Or is the guy getting out of a beat-up car himself, you know, ratty sneakers, ripped clothing, looking left and right, looking over his shoulder if someone's looking at him, and he's like, $400 to get into your car.
Oh, shady, shady. I would be very nervous. I mean, Bill, I go out to you guys. I mean, this just seems like another instance where we, as consumers, we have to be super savvy.
You also have to be careful. Not only is it the instance of just the bait and switch. When I was a prosecutor, we were involved in cases in which locksmiths would come to people's homes, these mobile locksmiths, and they weren't there to repair anything. They were there to case your apartment. to get into the door, take a look, and sometimes they actually even knew how to change a lock, and they would be maintaining a copy of that key.
Well, he makes a very good point. That's a security issue.
Yeah.
And there are various things to do. If you're at home and you need your locks changed, that's where you could do a little bit more research. That's where you can get referrals, go background checks. This is the key to your home.
Bill, I mean, you make a good point. You know, the time to get your locksmith isn't when you're stranded outside in 20-degree weather. You should have this type of person on your list at your home or in your phone so you have someone legit to go to.
You know, my grandmother used to say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I have like a little plastic car key in my wallet. My home keys are well hidden where no one can find them. I have backup systems in place. And ultimately, if it's in a place where I'm worried, I'll just leave the car, take a cab, and come home tomorrow.
Well, you know, Carmen,
Bill,
there's another option, which is you can always call the non-emergency number of the local police station and ask them who they'd recommend, or you can call 800-753-CNBC and tell them, if you don't charge me what you said you would, I'm calling Carmen. Right?
There you go. Yeah, I mean, Bill, I think a big point here to leave with is you've got to have some referrals, you've got to be prepared, and you have to look out for the shady folks out there.
And understand, the bad guy doesn't always look like a bad guy. You can have guys that, you know, like the doctor with the best bedside manner isn't always the best surgeon, so this guy could pull up, be a total legit from a legit company, but he could be the one bad guy. You got to learn to read between the lines and speak up for yourself. Be a lion, don't be a sheep.
All right, Bill, you're a big lion to us. Have you been the victim of fraud? Thank you so much, Bill, for joining us tonight.
Have you ever locked yourself out of your home or your car? Well, you might call a locksmith to help, but it could cost you a lot more than you expect. CBS 3's Susan Barnett reports there's a common scam that's on the rise.
Getting locked out is not only nerve-wracking, it can be expensive. Carol Pintar knows. She got locked out of her car while it was running. A locksmith quoted her a fee of $55, but that didn't get her back behind the wheel.
And he said, oh no, that $55 is just for me coming here. You owe me another $95.
Carol only had $40 extra, which he took.
We're hearing from consumers across the country who have been swindled by unethical locksmiths.
Some locksmiths sound legit and use local numbers and addresses, but the Better Business Bureau says when you dial, you're transferred to a call center that could be thousands of miles away.
They're not forthcoming at all about where they're located.
We checked on the addresses of 5 locksmiths in our area. Listed in the Yellow Pages, we found all of the addresses, but none of the locksmiths. This location turned out to be an Olive Garden in Cherry Hill.
This is a 24-hour mobile emergency locksmith line.
We called a Pennsauken locksmith with an odd name, A123 24-hour A Locks and Lock. An operator quoted us a $39 service fee and $15 to get back into the locked car. But when the locksmith arrived, he quoted our undercover producer something else.
This guy will be $39 for the service call, another $110 to open the car.
Wait, $110?
Then he reduced it to a flat $100.
Usually only cash.
Usually only cash?
Yeah.
What if I don't have $100 on me?
When he saw our camera, he told us to call the office. We asked to see his locksmith license.
Okay, I don't know anything about this. I only work in the office, okay?
He's really with Dependable Locks, based in New York City. Dependable has a history of complaints with the Better Business Bureau. So, what can you do? Do your research and find a reputable local locksmith before an emergency. And
if it's a locksmith and it has the word solutions in its name, A1 24-hour service, some derivative of that, give the BBB a call. Find out if there's a local experience with that particular locksmith.
We called Dependable Locks, but no one returned our calls. The Better Business Bureau says be wary of locksmiths in unmarked cars without uniforms or ID. And the state of New Jersey requires locksmiths to carry a license, so be sure to ask to see it. Susan Barnett, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
This is the original key given to me by the locksmith.
It seemed simple enough. Claudine Werner logged onto the internet to find a local locksmith to change the locks on her new condo.
I called the number and I asked, "Are you in Tigard?" She said yes.
Only later would Claudine find out the locksmith company wasn't local. She'd actually called a dispatcher, possibly in Arizona, that then sent out a technician here in Portland. When he arrived, Claudine was suspicious. His car wasn't marked, he didn't have a uniform, and when it came time to pay, he wanted the check made out to him. $165, much more than Claudine expected to pay.
There had been filing on the back of the key.
But it wasn't until she tried to get her key duplicated that she realized the locksmith had put her home at risk.
You see how that one right there is a separate pin?
Mm-hmm.
And that way they master keyed it so that more than one key would work on that lock.
Brent Hansen, a reputable locksmith, shows us what no homeowner can see. Not only had Claudine never been given the 2 original keys to this lock, but the lock itself had been set to accept a master key.
A stranger could have a key to my home.
So we tried to find Claudine's original locksmith.
And the person I'm looking for is Avery M. Oddie.
I'm told that he never worked for the company Complete Locksmith. A week later, I try again.
He's on a long vacation?
The more questions I ask,
oh, he may not be coming back.
The more the story changes.
So Avery M. Oddie doesn't work for your company anymore?
Eventually, I talk to a manager.
Okay, so you don't want me to record the conversation? Okay.
He refuses to give me his full name, but says Avery M. Oddie must have made a mistake.
And this has been something that's been widespread across the U.S.
Les Harvey is with the Pacific Locksmith Association.
It's really dangerous. I mean, because you don't know who it is that's you're giving your key to, or who it is that's working on your safe.
In fact, the Better Business Bureau sent out a strong warning just 2 months ago about another locksmith company operating in our area.
You're setting your own prices. You go out, you see a nice car, you charge more.
No, it's not right.
Well, that's what it seems to me that it is.
Then you're probably not right.
Every day, about 250,000 Americans make emergency calls to locksmiths. And now authorities say several companies have been preying on consumers who get locked out. They use similar techniques, and our consumer correspondent Elizabeth Leamy has some of them caught on tape.
No way to take it. I need to quit it.
You're watching a scamming locksmith caught in the act in San Francisco.
Will that cost more?
Yeah. You bet it'll cost more because he does unnecessary work. He drills the lock.
Hey, you got it.
Puts in a new one and then overcharges as well.
Supposed to be $820 plus tax $70, $890.
$890. A legitimate local locksmith says he could have opened the same door in no time for about $100.
$110 tops, you know, come on.
Complaints about unnecessary work, overcharging, shoddy workmanship, and lowball telephone quotes.
$39 plus $15 and up to open.
It's so bad, the Better Business Bureau calls the problem a nationwide locksmith swindle. Not all ripoffs are huge. They can be $25 or $50. But overall, they may add up to millions. From coast to coast, there are examples caught on tape. Here's one in Seattle.
I told him I didn't have anything on me, and then he hesitantly took $95.
So you think that's fair to people? $95? Yeah. Yeah?
Here's one in Colorado Springs.
Is there a specific way that you need to insert the key, or this is a double-side key? The silver card is $39 and lock-out label is $110, okay?
And in Orlando.
I'd like to know why you drilled the locks.
Why?
Yes.
Because I can't open the lock.
And New York City.
That's a lot of money.
These guys mostly target the people on the road or locked out of their house.
People like Ray Miller in suburban Chicago. He locked his keys in his house and had to pay a locksmith $1,700 to get back in.
He came here to do a job and collect his bill. He works on commission.
What's going on here? Authorities say several Israeli-run businesses are among a handful of companies behind the schemes. They've listed themselves online and in the yellow pages under scores of bogus names and addresses, so you think they're located nearby.
When you're locked out and you call, instead of reaching a local locksmith, you reach a call center that could be hundreds of miles away. And then they send their own guys who could have very little training.
The odds of getting a legitimate locksmith are very slim, maybe at most 5% in the bigger cities.
The Better Business Bureau says dependable in the Bronx, New York is a major reason why locksmith complaints are soaring.
They're definitely one of the larger offenders as far as phony locksmiths go.
I'm making money off of other people's misery, and it's against everything I believe.
Locksmith Shalom Newman told us through mid-2006 he worked for a company the BBB links to Dependable. But he says he had a falling out with the management when their business practices started bothering him.
They just told me to charge as much as I can, to start with a very high number and to pressure the customer to pay that and to go lower if I have to.
Two companies that the BBB calls aliases used by Dependable settled consumer protection lawsuits with the Illinois Attorney General last January.
They would quote people a much lower rate than they ultimately charged them. A lot of the charges were fraudulent.
The companies settled without admitting liability. In a statement, an attorney who represents Dependable told us Dependable is a separate company with no connection to those operations. He said Dependable tries to run a clean business with written estimates, written approvals, and no fictitious addresses.
Is this where you take all the phone calls from all over the country?
But look at the reception WABC reporter Tappy Phillips received from a Dependable manager when she paid an unannounced visit in July.
Hi, how are you? We're from Channel 7. You work here?
No.
Yeah, no, really? That's very interesting. You're just wandering around here. We'd like to talk to someone. The Better Business Bureau has called you very disreputable.
The Better Business Bureau blasts Dependable's record of 51 pending complaints, with 87 others in 2007 to which the company never even responded.
We believe that the number of complaints we've received are just a small sliver of the larger problem.
We can't do Slim Jim on this store.
Running a little bit more than I thought it would.
We have to stop them. They're making all the good locksmiths, seem like crooks.
That's Elizabeth Leamy reporting. Thanks to Elizabeth and that reporter who said, you work here? Yeah, what, are you just wandering around? We do have some tips for you, and we've also learned that Dependable, that company in question, is moving its main call center to Florida, and its attorney says the company has set up a special consumer complaint department there. The question, though, this morning, how do you know if you're dealing with a scammer? Here are the warning signs. They answer the phone usually by simply saying locksmith. They don't tell you where they are, their exact address, and they're usually evasive when you ask them any kind of questions. So protecting yourself, the best thing is to find a professional locksmith before you actually need one. Program the number into your phone, they say. Also getting a written estimate before the locksmith does any work on your home. And of course, this morning we want to thank our affiliates who helped us with the story, especially KGO in San Francisco and WABC here in New York.